I could like plug it.
Yeah, I'd be like.
I mean, I have my Instagram. Yeah. I mean, I still can. There's a shadow. Yeah, it's the boom is casting a shadow on your face. It is a little.
Oh, it is.
That's what I was like. Yeah, because when you lean back, I thought that's what I was like when you first sat. You weren't leaning back, so I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Nice catch. All right, welcome to today's video. Here I have Dan Dajesh.
That was close. It was close. You had the duh. That's about it.
I have Dan
Dajesh.
And he is the pre-production master. I use him as producer on just about all of my films because he knows what.
I
don't know why I use you.
why do you use me? You're just like, I don't want to do that. Who do we have?
Yeah.
Dan. He'll do it.
Dan will do it. No, but seriously, he gets things done and he gets it done right. Partially because he understands what pre-production is and why it's important. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's just jump in. What is pre-production?
Let me just say this. We're still learning.
Yep.
And in filmmaking, you're always learning, honestly. Because you should always be challenging yourself. And if you're not challenging yourself, then I don't know. I don't feel any fun in it if you're not really challenging yourself.
And you should always be looking back at your videos and saying, that sucks.
That's pretty harsh. But yeah.
No, that's what I
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, I watch his videos all the time, and I just say, that sucks. Unless all of a sudden it says produced by me, then it's amazing, obviously.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about pre-production?
Yeah, that's what we're here to talk about as.
All right, so what is it?
Well, pre-production is the first three-part structure of the basic filmmaking process. You have pre-production, principal production, and post-production. Now, pre-production is literally everything from the story of your film to the day of shooting, basically. And it consists of getting your cast and crew together. It consists of making sure you have the right equipment, the right props, the right costuming. Basically, anything that's going to be on screen, whatever's going to be on screen for your camera, the missing scene, pre-production takes care of. And so that includes financing and your budget, because you have to know how much whatever you're putting in front of your camera, or your camera as well, is going to cost. So that's what pre-production basically is. Why is it important, though?
Before we get there, I had just like a quick question that popped in my mind. So pre-production, there's obviously a lot of work before you even get to recording.
Right.
So is that included in the budget? And if so, how much of the budget does it usually take?
Well, you got to think. I mean, pre-production. It's not like you don't spend money when you're not doing pre-production. Mm-hmm. I mean, once you start putting the pieces together, you have to make sure those pieces stay. Mm-hmm. So you have to either pay someone to keep your equipment there, or also be ready to start paying your actors, your crew. And that's why you have contracts, you have all this stuff, and that falls under your budget as you're creating it, is how much your equipment's going to cost. Yeah. And start creating when you have the timetables of like, I'm going to be using this crew from this point to this point, and usually you have the numbers of how much that's going to cost, whether you're using a production company or freelance, depending if you're doing independent filmmaking, or other areas that would fall under that.
All right, let's talk about why pre-production is important.
Well, pre-production is important, which I actually think, for me personally, it is the most important part of the filmmaking process, because everything is planned here.
Yep.
Everything from what you're possibly going to use in post-production when you're doing music, sound effects, Obviously, everything that's going to happen on set or in front of the camera, what's going to be happening around the camera, is all planned out in pre-production. Which is, so I think it's not just important, but I think it is the most important.
Yes.
And the reason it is because we think about filmmaking sets like Murphy's Law. And Murphy's Law is what can go wrong will go wrong. And so you should always be flexible if you're on a film set, because most likely something is not going to be according to plan, no matter how much you actually did prepare in pre-production. If you do prepare and do pre-production correctly and treat it as the most important, then you'll be so prepared for the worst scenario that anything that happens on set should hopefully feel like a breeze.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always, obviously, but you kind of get to this point where you've almost practiced it so much in your head or prepared for it that you feel good to go. Like we compare it to like when we say why do athletes practice?
Yep.
Well, they practice for the big game. You do all these drills and exercises to make sure you're fit mentally and physically for anything that'll happen during the game. And so pre-production is all your film's practice.
Yeah. It's like a football team. They don't not have practice and they just go to the game and run around. Like, you have to practice that run and like see how everybody works together and stuff, you know. So in pre-production you gotta, you know, get your director, like, what has he done? What's his style? What's his vision? And your DP and your actors and like.
I mean, if we're really continue to compare it to sports, whether you watching understand sports or not, we'll throw some sport analogies out there. I mean, basically your pre-production is possibly prepare. I mean, you're preparing for the season, preparing for the game. Yeah. If you watched NFL, a bunch of coaches got fired this past season, which, I mean, coaches get fired all the time. But think of the director as the coach. He's the one that's going to be directing your crew and cast of what to do. That's your team. Your team is your cast and crew, and they're the ones that are going to carry out this film.
The play.
Right. They're going to carry out the play. And so, like, the producer, which is just as important during the pre-production process as the director, is like the general manager. He's the one making sure we don't go...
Business side.
Exactly, the business side. And so this all happens in pre-production. Anything that happens before the film starts to shoot is planned out, thought of, and hopefully ready to be taken care of once you go into principal production. And so that is why pre-production is the most important. So a book I have especially taken a liking to for any pre-production knowledge is the Producing and Directing Short Film and Video by Peter W. Ray and David K. Irving. Now, I'm sure there's probably a better, or not better, but new edition of this book because this still talks about like film, like actual film, not film making. You know, like everyone that uses digital nowadays, I'm sure there's probably a newer edition that probably has more focused on that. But there are some great examples of pre-production in this. And obviously it's more focused on short film and video, so they have like commercial video and examples. But we're independent filmmakers right now. A lot of our focus, I mean, we're doing more feature films right now, but we've done a few short films, so this is how I started. So if you're getting into independent filmmaking, if you're getting into short filmmaking, if you're getting into commercial video, pre-production is an essential part of all of that. And this book has great starters for examples for script breakdowns, for budgeting. It's all broken down by chapters for producer and director. So definitely I would give this book a read and check it out.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I just wanted to add, not just films, feature films need pre-production. It's commercials, it's music videos, short films, almost anything that needs a crew and needs a crew, cast, or whatever, needs some sort of pre-production.
I mean, think about all the videos you probably see on social media. All those videos had some aspect of pre-production.
Even YouTube videos.
In order to carry, especially YouTube videos. Especially YouTube videos. So without pre-production, none of what you see digitally would ever be made without pre-production. I mean, it would be made,
just not
but
as good.
yeah, the quality probably would be improv ideas, which don't always carry out well on screen.
All right. Well, that was very well said. Thanks for coming and talking about pre-production. I couldn't have said it any better myself. We will be doing more videos on how to execute different parts of pre-production, from your script development to casting, financing, all of the above. So stay tuned. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at DSDAGESSE. I should probably change that to a much simpler thing at some point. Yeah, at the bottom. It's right here. It's right here.
No, it's actually right
or over there.
Here. Yeah,
it's somewhere. And then I guess you can also find from there. You can also find my production handle, 7 Scott Productions.
Yep.
Which is up and coming. It's very much a not given as much attention as pre-production should be given.
Yeah.
So, have a great time, everybody. Have a good day.